Paul Shortino here. I hear you got yourself a YouTube show called Grab a Stack of Rock. Oh yeah, oh no, I feel I'm dreaming again. Oh no, I'm dreaming. Oh no, I feel I'm dreaming again. Oh no, I'm dreaming. Oh yeah, I'm dreaming of watching you. That's right, Mike. And your new show on YouTube called Grab a Stack of Rock. Peace, love.
Friday night, we're rocking the races. Come and see familiar faces. Uncle Meat, Rob Daniels, Josh Snow. Gibby's here, it's the place to go. Grab a stack of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Keyboard's here, it's time for a party. Come and see, got the comment started. Grab a stack of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock with Mike and the Bad Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock and hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock. Grab a stack of rock.
Harrison, Jax,
Hello.
Johnny Metal,
Yo,
and Jax is wearing the game show host jacket. How are you guys doing tonight?
oh man, it's a Friday, dude. It's a Friday.
That it is.
I'm pretty brain dead.
You're
Let's
pretty
just
brain
get that out there.
Well, I got
Okay,
good news.
go
for you
well,
guys. I got
It's
good news.
it's good to be pretty and brain dead, so that works.
Well,
Yeah.
you would know as you are one of the purchasers, the actual only purchaser of a Jax t-shirt. But the good news, guys, the good news is that tonight it's not about me. No, it's not about me. Tonight's about you guys. We're celebrating not just 100 episodes of Grab a Stack of Rock, but we're celebrating the co-host and the guests that got us here. Because as you know, I said we're shutting her down at least 3 times in the last 2.5 years. But we're here. We're at 100 episodes. And I'm grateful to each of you for doing this. And grateful to all the viewers for making it worth our while. So tonight we have a special celebration planned, including many clips that we're going to be playing, celebrating you guys. And the first clip that I had lined up was actually going to be a clip of Jax in case he couldn't make it. Do we need to run that clip or shall we skip it?
You could probably skip it because I'm here. I'm not here for long.
Okay.
I only have a few minutes. I wanted to at least say hello because this is big. This is huge. 100.
No kidding.
100. So I thought to myself, I'm not gonna make it tonight. I can't do it. But I saw the time. We're about to get the bedtime started. But I told my wife, let me just sneak out. I gotta give a quick hello to everyone. So
With that in
here I
mind,
am. Couldn't miss this.
with that in mind, I am going to change the order in which we're going to watch these clips because I'm going to do the Jax celebration first. And do you guys have anything you want to say before I dive on into it?
I say dive on into it.
All right, Harrison,
Let her rip.
let her rip. All right. So Jax, I think it goes without saying that you kind of were my safety net. In 2023, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. My show was derailed, and Jex Russell came to the rescue. I wanted to do these 3:00 in the afternoon shows at the cottage, and Jex Russell was there that entire summer and through to the fall. And Chris Sarr was watching. And Henry's in the house. I didn't think Henry was going to be able to make it, but thanks for checking in, buddy. But Chris Sarr, I think he was watching on this particular night. We used to do a little thing called Ask Harrison. But on this night, we did a question for Jex. And that question came from Ray Coburn of Honeymoon Suite. So we're going to run this clip in celebration of Jex. Jex, are you ready for your question?
I was born ready.
Okay. You asked for it. Here we go.
Hey, Jex. Ray Coburn here, ex-keyboardist of the band Honeymoon Suite, among other musical acts. I am genuinely distressed to know that you dislike my keyboard playing, my sound, and in particular the song Feel It Again, which I wrote.
Badass guitar. And I'm like, oh, all right, yes, here we go. This is going to be good. This is going to rock. And at that 10-second mark, exactly at the 10-second mark, those keyboards kick in, man. Do, 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 do. And I'm like, what the hell? What are those doing here? What are those doing here? This was about to rock. And you throw in those keyboards.
Do I need to change my keyboard to sound more like a guitar? Because I can do that. Jex, I just can't go through another day receiving hate mail such as this. This stuff makes me so sad that I want to sit at my keyboard and write fluffy power pop ballads, but I know you'll hate that. Please share your reasons for feeling this way, and thank you for your time, Jex, you devilishly handsome, opinionated bastard.
Oh my God, that was amazing. Ray, buddy. No hard feelings, okay? Look, I'm always willing to give something a second chance. Maybe I'll like the big prize next time around, you know. And let me tell you, it wasn't your keyboard playing that bothered me, man. It was the fact that there were keyboards there in the first place. I was like, this doesn't fit for me. But Ray, you rocked it when I saw you with Kim Mitchell. I have nothing against you or your keyboard playing. One love.
One love.
One love with two fingers.
And we teased you, kind of Tim at the forefront, but we teased you real good for that one love thing at the end.
Well, I think a little context is in order for those who don't know. That came about because I gave the big prize. I did an episode with Deke of our Retro Throwdown show, which has long since been deleted, unfortunately. But I gave big prize a really low score. I forget how much I gave it, maybe a 2 out of 10 or 3 out of 10, because the keyboard just took me off guard. I'm like, this album could rock if it wasn't those keyboards. I didn't even know who the keyboardist was, never cared to look it up. I was pissed. And then, Tim, who's a big fan, he really gave me a hard time about it. And then shortly after that review, we saw Kim Mitchell in concert, and who was playing keyboards. Lo and behold, it was Ray Coburn, whose keyboard playing I had trashed. So that just made the inside joke just kind of, snowball. And anyway, T-Bone Erickson gets credit for making that cool little vid. And
And don't worry, we have a tribute for T-Bone coming up a little bit later on in the show. But Jex, I wanted to highlight some of my favorite Jex moments on the show, especially during that time where we were doing the 3:00 in the afternoon. We did a morning show one day where we unboxed a whole bunch of my cassettes.
Yeah.
On Saturday morning. Fuck, that was good. I mean, we found all my Kiss tapes. I didn't know it was in that box. That was awesome. That was a great show. Check that one out, the unboxing of the cassettes. Top 10 songs to play with the windows down in the summer was an awesome show. We did that one by Fireside. Those are just two. There was also the birthday. And what you did for me on my birthday was really, really special. You gathered together messages from people I knew and rock stars and all kinds of stuff. And you made like a 20-minute video. Yeah, those guys. We're going to show a little bit of that tonight as well. But I just had a brain fart. Oh, there was the monologue, the one monologue where I wanted to kill you at the end of the monologue. That was brilliant. But I'm having the brain fart of the one thing that I thought was the best thing that we did. And now I just ruined it. Marty LeBlanc in the house.
well, you think, hey, Marty, while you think about it, I will say one of my favorite is the Canadian show we did, the
Oh, good
Canadian
one.
artist.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was a great show
the
too.
top,
That was
top
Canada
11
Day,
Canadian artist.
Canada Day special right there. All right. Well, I'll come back to whatever it was that I thought we did.
You're not going to shave your hair again, are you?
Well, that was good too. That's in the intro video, and you can see Jex just kind of go as soon as I did it because I didn't tell him. I didn't tell him that's what we were doing. Shit, Jex, I'm sorry, I can't remember. But anyway, long story short, we had a really.
I got one. As long as we're shooting around memories, John's gonna get a kick out of this. The birthday video, when you set it up and introduced it and said, "Jax, your thing is kind of long," and then everybody just laughed.
Hello, Dr. Freud. Two more things. You were responsible for reuniting Uncle Meat and I together on screen for our Easter special last year. That was incredible, an incredible moment to which I am eternally grateful, and it was impactful on my life. And secondly, I wanted to know, are we allowed to talk about Dan?
I mean, you just name dropped him, so I mean, I guess we.
Chartrand?
Huh?
Chartrand?
No, go ahead. You can talk about it.
I think one of the most comical things from a behind-the-scenes point of view was it's no secret that Jex used to broadcast from his office, from his former employer. But last summer,
during office hours sometimes.
But after everybody was gone, like everybody's checked out for the day. But last year we started to run into some serious problems because it turns out that somebody at his office, who I didn't name at all, was spending a lot of time away from home and was sleeping in his office, often during the start time of my show. So I'd be sitting here killing time like, Jex is going to be here. And we have a message from Jex. He says, start without me. And I mean, you got to make the best with what you got. But that was a struggle last summer, wasn't it?
Yeah. And those days are behind us now because I've changed employment, so that's why people have been seeing less of me because I don't have that freedom.
Which is why you're currently in a car.
No more fancy boardroom. It's the comfort of my Corolla.
The comfort of your Corolla. All right. Well, I wanted to start with you in case you had to leave, but let's rewind.
You got a few more minutes. You had me for a few more minutes.
Then I'll show you this during those 3 more minutes. Let's rewind back to 2020, and we'll talk about this. Harrison and I have prepared a history of the show kind of clip, but we had a show called The LeBrain Train, and I experimented with T-shirts back then. Obviously, you see Mr. Clouser, he's wearing a Grab a Stack of Rock shirt. I am wearing a Grab a Stack of Rock shirt. Back in the LeBrain
I'm
Train,
wearing the same shirt I wore in that honeymoon suite video. The continuity's great.
Back in 2020,
Harrison never changes his shirt.
No, he never changed his shirt. So he hasn't changed it since. Back in 2020 or 20,
he washes it every day. People, don't worry, he washes it every day.
When he takes a shower,
he doesn't undress.
Yeah, except in Australia, the water flows upwards. So you have the shower head down at the very bottom.
Because they're upside down. But anyways, I experimented with having shirts made back then, and they weren't as good. But here is the never before seen prototype LeBrain Train shirt, and there's our old logo right there. That was designed by a girl named Sage. She designed that, and she designed the train logo on the back with the Flying V guitar.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice.
My idea to have the Flying V kind of on the front, but there was one problem with this shirt, which is if you look at the logo, it's like in my armpit. So unfortunately, this prototype was a dud, never to be used. But never seen before. So that's something brand new. Let's take a quick look at the comments here before Hey, Grant Arthur is in the house. How are you doing, buddy? You guys should do the show. We should all be from our cars. Yes.
Yeah.
Nice to see Grant in the house. Grant is also very very much co-responsible for helping me out during a hard time when I didn't know what the hell I wanted to do anymore. And Grant's like, let's do a show, man. Let's do The Darkness or Neurotic Outsiders or whatever we did. So, and thank you for tuning in tonight. Yes, that is true. That is true. However, we are on a globe Earth, so Harrison is upside down. Anyway, going back to 2020, we had a show called The LeBrain Train, and Harrison and I have prepared some clips in advance. This first clip is kind of funny. It is about Harrison's original setup that he had before he has the nice elaborate one today, and it's kind of amusing little short. So have a look at Harrison's first setup.
All right, so this is an image that actually goes all the way back to the Brain Train era, but I did want to have a little reminisce over it because we've come a long way since then. This is a photo I took of my setup that I had for that very first LeBrain Train episode I joined Mike on when we ranked, we did our top 11 Judas Priest albums. And this was back in the days of Facebook Live, where you could only have one guest, and that guest had to be on mobile Facebook watching the stream, and then Mike would send them an invite link, and they'd accept. But then the window would open up in front of your Facebook window, so you'd still be hearing the stream as it's streaming. So you'd get this unbelievable echo that would be, there's a few moments during that show where I'm like pausing for a few seconds to sort of listen and absorb what's being said and filter out the actual echo. And then I start talking again. And but that was just how we did it back in those days. It was real caveman streaming it was. And that image right there shows it like, because it had to be on Facebook Mobile, I was using an iPad rather than my laptop. So that picture of the diner where you can see the balcony jutting out, there's usually, so this is a Lego diner, by the way. I was using this as a stand for the iPad. And that, you can see that little white bar bit that sticks out. There's a balcony there. There's usually a sign there in pink saying diner, but I had to remove that because that's where I perched the iPad. I've got my notes on the left, my headphones were on, and a glass of water there blending in because it's a dark cup. These days, I've got a stack of books to make sure the laptop's at the right height. I've got the webcam so you can see properly and I'm not dark. I've got the microphone. I've got the lamp for extra light. I have my notes there. I'll have water, and I've got a whole secondary desk that I've got for this, that I bring out for this live streaming setup. But yeah, back in the day, then it was a bit simpler, even though it was quite rudimentary. But
I remember my original setup because, as you said, you had to do it on your mobile. So I was using this very mobile right here, and I had a charging cable coming at the bottom so that I didn't run out of power. I would prop it up.
See, with
against
my iPad,
monitor.
because I had the charging cable, I turned it upside down. And of course, on mobile, it automatically resized, but I had the cable sticking out the top, which did give me the added benefit that you had a problem where your phone would fall over periodically during the show. And you just, you'd hear the camera go over the side and Mike would start swearing and start putting it back up.
I had it propped up on one side with some CDs, and then on the other side I had it propped up with some Star Wars Black Series action figure boxes. It was so haphazard, it was so clumsy. So we just hit a record 36 viewers. Pretty awesome. Let's have Johnny Metal answer this question here.
Grant, I am winding up a couple of series on my channel. I'm going to be recording something Monday, and then what I'm recording on Monday will probably be the last guest appearance I'll be on a show. And then like I said, just winding up my series before I take my little sabbatical of sorts.
Thanks, Johnny.
First setup really was something, and that only existed for that first episode because I didn't appear again until September or August that year, at which point I'd got a more involved setup and a bit more, not permanent, but a bit better because I was coming on more regularly at that point. That was really just slapped together battle. I need something to put this iPad on. What do I have? Oh, look, a Lego building. That'll do, sort of thing.
And then we quit. We relaunched and rebranded as Grab a Stack of Rock. And I have a rather lengthy clip that you and I did about this, but worth the watch. So any further questions, gentlemen? Jex is going to chill out. Okay, thank you, buddy. I really appreciate you, and I will talk to you this weekend.
Good to see you all, guys.
Buy a
Thank you.
Jex Cider t-shirt, people. Come on.
Thanks, John.
Do it.
See you guys.
Rock and roll, brother.
Cheers.
Love you.
Love you, buddy. Okay, so without further ado, this is a 6.5 minute clip. Harris and I recapping basically the last 2.5 years of the show. We'll be right back after this message.
Hey everyone, this is Peter Kerr from Rock Daydream Nation. I'm here with Harrison Kopp. How are you going today, Harrison?
Pretty good, pretty good.
Excellent. Well, today we're here to talk about the debut CD by Rose Tattoo. Now we're just having a little bit of fun here. It's Mike and Harrison, and we're here to talk about the 100th episode of Grab a Stack of Rock. Harrison, do you remember that morning in October when I sent you a message on Facebook Messenger saying, what do you think about going live tonight?
I do remember it, yes, except it was evening for me. I was actually staying up a little later than I normally do. I was there on the laptop. It was probably about 9:45 at night here, and then that message came through, and it was a case of, well, I would have liked to have got to bed at a reasonable hour, but, I did what I did. I got up the next day early, and the rest is history, as they say.
And speaking of history, this actually started in March of 2020, if you want to get technical about it, when the pandemic struck. And our friend and cast member here at Grab a Stack of Rock, Rob Daniels, started going live every Wednesday just as a way of being social. And I went live the following week with a show that we called The LeBrain Train. And you and I did
a few months, I believe, to actually make my appearance on it.
You made your first appearance in May of 2020. And this was our show for a couple of years, over 2 years, really. And you and I did a final episode of the LeBrain Train in July of 2022. It was an interview with Marco Doria and Martin Popoff. We were talking about the Mystique movie. And, the funny thing about that is the Mystique movie, we've done episodes on Grab a Stack of Rock about that. But I was burned out after doing LeBrain Train almost every single week for 2.5 years during the pandemic. I was sick and tired of it. And I was like, let's get back to living, right? And then I started to miss it. And we did that first episode of Grab a Stack of Rock. And we have a little bit of video here from that episode.
It's hard to believe that there was a time a few years ago now when we'd only been going live for 2.5 years.
Yeah.
We're pushing what, 5 now?
We're pushing 5 years. Basically, we're at 5 years as of this recording. I think it was like March 17th or March 24th or something like that we first went live with the LeBrain Train. But Grab a Stack of Rock, we decided to do something a little bit different. Although the first night we didn't have a name for it. We just
ran the LeBrain Train. Yeah, you can tell it's impromptu because I've got a really wonky camera angle going on now. I don't use that one much because it means it's having my laptop set up at an angle on the desk and the chair in its original spot. I usually move things around for a far better camera angle, but I just basically gathered what I had, threw it together that morning.
And as far as I was concerned, I was just improvising. We decided we wanted to do a show where we didn't want to do any work. It was sort of the premise. Uncle Meat said, you guys should do a show where you literally just grab stacks of rock and talk about it. So that's where the name Grab a Stack of Rock came from. And that's what we did on that first night. I can't even remember everything we talked about, but it was very light. We were looking at my Optimus Prime Lego figure.
Was it Dio Dreamers Never Die?
Uncle Meat joined us later in the show to talk about the new Dio documentary, Dreamers Never Die. And that's where we picked up the views. That's where the first views for the show came up, is because people wanted to see that review. And then we went live again the following week and the following week. And we did it basically every week for about 10 weeks. And it was a lot of fun. And here we are. And now we're celebrating 100 episodes. And
yes, if I recall correctly, it would have been about November or December when the Lego art started coming in. Originally, I made the Lego art for the intro because Mike was putting together a new intro. And by that point, I'd started to become a bit known for the Lego art. So I cobbled a whole bunch of band-related stuff together. I know I did the second lot of images on like Christmas Day, Boxing Day. So the first lot would have come briefly before that. But yeah, and it just snowballed from there. At some point, I ended up taking over art duties as well for the show art.
That's right. Yeah, you pretty much do almost all the artwork, except for the odd episode where I'm just kind of going solo on my own. But Uncle Meat was always important to the show. He was important to the LeBrain Train. He was the first guest. But he was very prophetic. And he said to me at one point, how many more weeks can you keep going just grabbing stacks of rock? Like, you guys are going to have to start doing topics. And I stubbornly avoided topics for a long time until, hey, I finally gave in. We started doing lists. And now here we are. We're kind of well known for doing our amazing lists. We have had, to date, as of this recording, 46 or 47 guests. Depends on if you count Matt Phillips. But I'm going to start counting Matt Phillips as a guest because he submitted a 10-minute, really brilliant 10-minute thing on Tim Derling's book about Kansas. And so he counts as a guest. I'm counting it. 47 guests we have had as of this recording. Talking about music, talking about all sorts of things. We've done a really good movie episode about Mad Max. And I'm here to say, Harrison, thank you so much for answering my message that morning in October. And thank you for going live.
In an alternate universe, I was fast asleep. I rolled over in the morning and I looked at the man and just like, oh, that boat has sailed.
And in that universe, my co-host has been Metal Roger all this time. Anyway, I'm really thrilled to be doing 100 episodes. Here we are. And again, I couldn't have done it without you. I couldn't have done it without Uncle Meat. There's so many people that I could not have done it without. I don't want to list them all right here because somebody will say I forgot them and I'm just rhyming them off the top of my head. But you know who you are, and I thank you for your support. And this has been Mike and Harrison with a retrospective on the start of Grab a Stack of Rock. We just hit a record 38 viewers, so thank you for that. And the rain just started, but rain or shine, the show must go on. Thanks for watching that, everybody. Johnny Metal, I saw you smile when I said that comment about Metal Roger. Johnny Metal is another guy that really helped out because as I said earlier, Jex started having this problem with this boss of his that was always sleeping at work. And Johnny Metal stepped up last year when I needed a co-host for a lot of shows. And Harrison was ill as well for a lot of this time. So I didn't have a lot for stuff for Johnny Metal. But I do have this. And I also have this.
Grab a stack of rock, Mike and the Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can. Grab a stack of rock, Mike and the Metal Man. Grab a stack of rock, hold on tight as hard as you can.
We just hit a record 44 viewers.
Wow.
Now, what Roger's talking
I
about
probably
here,
just scared half of them off with that. So yeah.
No. What Roger's talking about here is that he saw Metallica in Toronto last night, and he brought with him a sign that said, "I delayed my heart surgery to be here tonight." And apparently Lars
Must have saw it.
recognized that.
Yes.
So very cool. Metal Roger's been on the show a couple of times. As you saw, there was a picture of him in that last bunch of clips. But Johnny Metal, you did that little acoustic rendition for my birthday video. Thank you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I wish I could have done it a little better.
Yeah. Well,
I always kind of cringe at it, but it's fun. I thought, what would that song sound like as a power ballad or as a, campfire ballad?
Good.
So I thought, why not,
It sounds good. No, I appreciate that, man. That was a great show. And again, Jex put all that stuff together. Harrison, do you have anything you want to add before I run to the next clip?
Well, it is grab a stack of rock, so we should probably still show off a few small stacks of rock, methinks.
Why don't we do that? Because actually, we used to start the show with like unboxings and stuff like that. You have something you want to show off, and I have something I want to unbox.
Yes, I've got just a few things. I've decided that you can never really have enough Iron Maiden Peace of Mind tour bootlegs. This is Munich 1983, the soundboard. It's not the expanded version of the set list they'd sometimes play with Prowler and Still Life. So of course, then I needed to get Hammersmith 1983, it's a full show with Prowler as Still Life. It's also the best damn performance of the tour that I've ever heard. Bruce is doing this extra scream on the opening of Where Eagles Dare and all that. And then I saw Newcastle 1983, and this is very special because in addition to being the Prowler and Still Life, having that on it as well, this is the second of only 2 dates this tour where they played I've Got the Fire live. And sure enough, there it is, disc 2, I've Got the Fire. So 3 essential CDs right there. And one more, just because I don't know when I'm going to be able to show. So this is a cool little promo CD from No Doubt. It's actually got 4 exclusive live tracks from Los Angeles 1995 that you can't get anywhere else. Weirdly, on a promo, it's like a promo for music that you can't buy.
That's bizarre. Mad Season had a live EP that was basically a promo for something you couldn't buy. But that's interesting. Those are always interesting releases. Johnny Metal, did you have something? I know you were holding up a record earlier.
Well, yeah. I actually do have a couple things. So, y'all have seen me probably mention this little band here with this lovely little album cover, right?
Yes. This has come up on the Contrarians before.
Right. So here, just so y'all can see all this in lovely color.
Yep.
So this is this original album that came out about 86. Well, would you believe the guy behind that band released a new album?
Wow.
With a much not quite so risque cover as Easy Prey, but this one is called Unsafe Space. Very good album. I'm very much enjoying it. Definitely keeping the thrashy kind of power metal roots of the first album. Lyrically, a little different than the first album. Might not set so well with some folks, but there you go. Ash likes Predator. Yeah, check them out. It is on Spotify, and you can find that online. But I have to look. I always have to look. This is a local group that I've gotten to know a little bit, and it's kind of a duo. There we go. I've gotten to know this guy a little bit. I met him when I was still working and did some printing for his first album that he had done. And then this is something new that he just had done. He has like a small limited edition vinyl of all. That was all that he did. I don't think there's going to be a CD release, but it is on Spotify as well. And there's supposed to be a video, because he did a video accompanying the first album all the way through, and then there was one that came with this one. Haven't seen it come up on YouTube yet, but it was really cool when I saw it about a month ago, and really cool album. I don't know how to describe the sound though. It's a little bit of all kinds of different things, but it's a lot of good stuff. Obviously, it's something I would dig. I think y'all would like it too. Female fronted singer, great stuff. And then that's all I got. All onto you.
Roger is obsessed with age, and I'm not sure why.
Because he's about to have heart surgery, I think.
Yeah, but could also be the fact that he's completely bald. But anyway, thank you, Johnny Metal, for everything that you've done for the show. And
you were very well. Thank you for having me on to do it.
I am going to miss you while you are on sabbatical, but absence makes the hearts grow fonder, and my heart will go on.
Amen.
Next up, I have a clip here. Hang on a sec. One more comment. Okay, there you go. Okay, so there is one era of the show that we call the Heels era that we haven't acknowledged enough. So this particular clip actually comes from the Heels era of the show. Enjoy. Thanks for joining us for this special 100th episode. There was one person that was very important to the first year of the show, and I happened to find a clip that we never used. So let's address this question.
Hey there. Nice to see you, Grab a Stack of Rock. I was just kind of curious. What would your guys' thoughts have been had Eddie Van Halen really did take the place of Ace Frehley? Thoughts? This is for anybody. All right. See you at the end. Peace.
That question was meant to be answered on the Friday, March 10, 2023 episode of Grab a Stack of Rock, but oh boy, nature had other plans. As I got incredibly sick that night, I barfed about 12 times. That question was meant to be for Jon Snow and Jex Russell, but for tonight's episode, I will answer it myself.
Really good question, and one that I've thought about a lot. Well, first and foremost, they would have had a problem, which is Eddie Van Halen was a well-known musician. He had been famous for 4 years at that point. So what do you do about makeup? The point of the makeup was to keep Kiss anonymous. Eddie Van Halen was anything but. So that's a question. That's a sticking point. Another thing is that Eddie Van Halen's style didn't really mesh with Kiss. I'm sure that he could throw in some cool guitar solos that Ace Frehley used to, fill with his own stuff. And what about songwriting? Kiss is based on all the guys writing the songs. Paul and Gene were dominant at that point. What would have Eddie's impact been? What songs of Van Halen would Jump have been a Kiss song? The mind reels thinking about all this stuff. So there you go. That was a great question. Thank you, Married in Heels, for doing that.
And we still have never done a Kiss episode. The only Kiss episode we ever did was like Creatures of the Night in December 2022 with Marco Doria.
Well, one of the very first lists with me was a Kiss list of the LaBrain Train, way back.
The very first list we ever did was Rush, and then we did Kiss, but that was LaBrain Train, and those are well overdue for a new episode. Oh my God, Roger, he just he won't let me go. He won't let me go. Anyway, she was responsible for, I would say, roughly 8,000 views single-handedly. So she definitely deserves a round of applause and a pat in the back because she didn't have to do those episodes for her own promotion. She was getting less views by doing my show instead of hers. So, thank you very much for doing that over the years. And, we wish you all the best from your friends here at Grab a Stack of Rock. Anything you guys want to say before we move on to a fellow by the name of Tim Derling?
Repetition.
We did a Metallica list show in, I don't know, it might have been last year. I can't remember anymore, but we did do a Metallica list show, and we knew there was going to be a certain amount of repetition. So Tim Derling recorded this clip, and I love it. Absolutely love it.
Repetition! 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 Repetition!
So like Grant, like Peter Kerr, who I also acknowledged earlier in the episode, but maybe in a way that he probably doesn't appreciate very much. Tim was instrumental in keeping Grab a Stack of Rock going and focused on the rock and positivity and things like that. And Tim has also been very generous over the years, just sending me music. And we've always supported him with his books. And Johnny Metal and I, we have that in common. We've both participated in Tim Derling's books.
Yep.
And yeah, so pat in the back to Tim. Here's another little clip that I like of Tim. This is from not an official episode, sort of like a special edition, what I used to call special edition episodes, regarding a Holy Grail 8-track tape that my friend Aaron from the Keeps Me Alive, and we've seen already tonight on the show. Well, I sent him an 8-track tape that he had been looking for inside a Canada Post flat rate box, and this is what Tim did.
Suckers walk, money talks, but I'm gonna open my flat rate box. Flat rate box.
And to flog Tim's last book, Sammy Hagar, Red on Black, that was 3-lock box. and Tim is so spontaneously funny and musically intelligent. Like he can. Oh, that's the 1983 reissue on Geffen. Before they added the, you know what I'm talking about. And so we're grateful to Tim, another guy we owe a huge thanks to. And also, Tim's kind of the guy who brought Jex Russell to the attention of the rest of the community. So I'm getting emotional here, guys. It's been a great night. Thank you so much for hanging in here. Anything you guys want to say about Tim Derling before we move on to a more meaty subject? Meaty. Well, why don't we quickly acknowledge what you and Meat have done in the last couple of weeks?
Oh, well, we have done, for the wrestling fans out there, we did a prediction and then a reaction show to WrestleMania 41 that was in Las Vegas. So we had a little fun with that. We talked about maybe seeing if we can maybe slide one more show in before my sabbatical. And then we have another one that we'd love to do once I'm back. But some of it'll be wrestling, some of it'll be music. So I don't know. Meat and I are just we're just kind of messaging back and forth. And Meat's another one of those guys that kind of like you guys in 2024. Meats turned out to be one of those guys. I'm like, wow, I didn't know I needed somebody like him in my life in 2025. So thankful to have his friendship. So there you go.
Yeah, the Meat Man, we wouldn't be here right now without the Meat Man. He was the one that kind of, the thing about Meat Man, he's got great ideas. And sometimes I'm just very stubborn and resistant to them, and I push back and and it creates friction and we get pissed off at each other. But at the end of the day, he's proven that, our 28 years of friendship is something very valuable. And I've been unfair to him in the past, and he's just a true friend. And that brings us to Uncle Meat. I have not watched this clip. This is the only clip tonight that I have not watched. I wanted to keep it a surprise for myself. But when Jex did the birthday video for me, Meat sent in a clip like a lot of you guys did. And it had to be edited for length. So this is the full length message that Meat had for me on my birthday. And I'm going to see it for the first time. So let's have a look. Thank you, Uncle Meat, for everything that you do.
Well, we're here to wish Michael Ladano a happy birthday. Michael, you may or may not remember, you share a birthday with my late father, July 19th. But we're here to talk about you. And we all know, you recently had a shelf disaster. And now that you have healed that problem, I think you need to go to the Beat Goes On and grab a stack of rock and heal your soul with CDs. Make sure you get the Traffic album, The Low Spark of High Heel Boys. Great album. You need the Japanese import. And then you'll start to heal thyself with rock. So keep the show running, bud. You've surrounded yourself with good people and good collaborators. So come on, Michael. Now that you have dug in your heels and picked yourself back up, we all know that you and Jan are head over heels in love. So cool your heels, Lego boy. One shelf does not define you. You are LeBrain. Your Achilles heel is not shelving. Your Achilles heel is only yourself. So only you can prevent forest fires, Smokey. So happy birthday. Cool your heels and relax. You are the man. Happy birthday.
I had forgotten. Yeah, okay, we all know the joke there. I had forgotten that I shared his birthday with his dad, Ray. But I'll share a Meat story. This is one of my favorite Meat stories about Meat and his dad. And I wish I'd met his dad. But in 2018, I'm thinking it was, Meat was doing this long hair kind of deal like I am right now. And Meat's dad was sick in the hospital, and he went to visit him. And his dad goes, "What's up with the hair?" And Meat goes, "Well, it's kind of an experiment." And his dad says, "Your experiment was a failure."
Ouch.
And I will never not find that funny. Because, in dark times, you have to find the humor in these moments. And I'm glad that he shared that story with me. I went to his dad's memorial service, and it was, I just wanted to. I wished I'd known him. He sounds like he was just an intelligent, witty man, and I see where Meat gets his, his somewhat twisted sense of humor from sometimes. So, tribute to the Meat Man. We appreciate you, buddy. And we were supposed to do an additional clip with Meat tonight, but we just ran out of time. And I think we'll still record it as a short and do it as it's just an interesting little idea. So I think we'll do that at a later date. Anything you guys want to add about Uncle Meat? I know, Harrison, you've known him for several years now, and Johnny, you love the man.
Yes, it's good to have him back, and I'll never forget T-Bone Erickson's description of him. He's just like, when the man talks, his voice is like a chainsaw, but when he sings, my God, it's great. It was something to that effect, and yeah, he's a great singer and a great dude.
Yeah. So maybe I'll tell maybe a quick Meat story, because we're actually running early of where I thought we'd be at this point of the show. So I'll tell some quick Meat stories. As I met him when I was working at The Beat Goes On, which is what the record store is that I've been writing about since 2012. And Meat and I met, I think, around 1997. I think he was hired around then. And I remember I was driving him home from a shift. And I happened to have, he's like, hey, have you heard that Metallica did this like Merciful Fate medley? And I was like, Meat, that happens to be the tape that I have in my car right now. I'd recorded whatever single that was. It was one of those Metallica, like 2 or 3 CD single sets. I'd recorded the entire thing onto one cassette. And so we listened to that as I drove him home, and we became friends, and we realized that we knew certain people in common. Not a big city, I guess, and we're hardcore music guys. But here's the cool thing: is that in 1980, I'm gonna say 87, I went to see a Battle of the Bands in Kitchener, Ontario, and we went to support our friend Rob Zabo, who was in a band called Over 550. And what we didn't know that a future Uncle Meat was on stage that night. There was one thrash band that played, and I remember the memorable thing about this thrash band is that a wave of like 7 or 8 bangers came to the front of the stage and started banging their heads to their music, and that hadn't happened to any of the other bands. So that was memorable. Turns out that was Uncle Meat. Turns out that was Meat Man. So there's a story for you. Meat would admit that he was a shitty employee. He spent a lot of the time on the phone, and who gives a crap now, right? But he would admit that he was a shitty employee. But he worked there for about 1.5 years. And if you want to see a great video, and I should really repost it sometime, there's a great video on my channel called something like the top 5 discs that we got in shit playing at the record store. And it's a great show. And I'll cut to the chase, which is that he had kind of like a semi-feud going on with this girl, Meredith, who was basically, Meredith was one of the favored few, the golden girl that could do no wrong by management. And, Meat and I were constantly on their shit list. And they had a deal where each of them would pick one song, and then they would alternate songs until they closed. It was about half an hour before closing. Meat said, okay, so I go first. And she's like, yeah, sure. It's like, okay. What is he going to get? Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick. Was that like a 42-minute song? And as Meat concluded in that episode, he said, small triumphs are still triumphs. And that's why we love the Meat Man. He's brilliant. He introduced me to a lot of great music over the years, including Paul McLeod, a band called Hibakusha. We have a video from Paul McLeod that we might play tonight as the outro. Why not? Yeah, let's do it. Let's play Paul McLeod on the outro tonight. He was a good personal friend of Meat and a very talented musician as well. So we can't praise Meat enough. But there's one guy that I always wanted to get on the show, and I tried, but I just couldn't do it. We couldn't get our schedules aligned, and that was T-Bone Erickson. And T-Bone Erickson is the guy who did the theme song, the LaBrain Train theme song, and about 6 other songs that we play on the show, and did a lot of the early Ask Harrison questions. And if you want to see some of the best of those, we did a mixtape episode a few weeks back with some of the best of those. T-Bone Erickson started doing these deep fake videos where he would like that Ray Coburn thing, but better. He did one of Sammy Hagar giving me shit for not liking 5150, for example. He did one of Max the Axe, but he was Mad Max the Axe. But there's one we never played. I wanted to save it for a time where T-Bone would be on the show, but we just couldn't get it together. So this is one that T-Bone made about himself. So why not? Here is Bret Michaels from Poison giving shit to T-Bone.
Hello, everyone. Bret Michaels here. On this week's episode of I've Got a Bone to Pick, I tracked down the elusive T-Bone Erickson in his home nonetheless, and we have a little chat about music that is awful. One-on-one, mano-a-mano. So, I'm scrolling through the Grab a Stack of Rock group chat, of which I am a card-carrying member, and I come upon a bit where you randomly comment that my solo music is probably awful. Who do you think you are? You want to talk about music that is awful, open door, piss? It's about a dude taking a leak. What is wrong with you? I'm not finished. Balls of Steel? They play a tune like a glockenspiel? You are literally singing about a dude's balls. I mean, what the fuck? Fuck pants? I don't even know what to say. Happy birthday to the Mad Metal Man? Don't you ever just write songs about chicks, dude? I mean, are you sure you really grew up in the 80s? So, what do you have to say for yourself? Mr. T-Bone? Yeah, I didn't think so. Well, that'll do it for this episode. Tune in next time when we pay a visit to Mr. Tim Derling. Good night.
So I raise my Canada Dry to T-Bone Erickson for everything that you've done for the show over the years, and hope you're doing well, my friend. Anyways, we're getting close to the end here. I only have one more clip to play, and it's actually a preview. An outtake preview from an upcoming episode of 50 Years of Iron Maiden.
Not my proudest or finest moment.
That's why it's an outtake. Why don't we just talk real quick about 50 Years of Iron Maiden? Johnny Clouser, you did Iron Maiden with us.
I did. Yeah, that was
you were there when unfortunately. Okay, so here's some backstories. Johnny Metal and I were going to do an episode about food. We're just going to do a light episode about food because he goes to this great place called the Anvil Pub, and we're going to do top 5 meals we ever had. Paul Di'Anno died that week, so we're like, well, we have to do something for Paul. So we quickly got ourselves together. You, me, Metal Roger. I think Harrison was there that night as well.
Yes, I came back early for that one.
That's right. Yeah. And we did a great tribute to Paul Di'Anno. Yeah. But then you came back for 50 Years of Iron Maiden. We had a great episode. And you also did a bunch of the post-show chats too.
I have. Yeah, those are always fun. You know, it's just free form open, and yeah, you could talk a little bit about the Maiden stuff or whatever comes up. But yeah, those were just fun free form stuff, and you know, you gotta love that stuff. So it's all in how we're building the community of what we do, you know, and I love that about us. So that's a great thing.
Well, to acknowledge the inspiration, you know, your show was the inspiration for 50 Years of Iron Maiden because you really grabbed specifically with the Priest series. Accept was great. All of your series have been great, but it was specifically Priest, which I was fortunate enough to do the Turbo episode with you.
Yep.
Harrison had the idea to do a similar thing with Maiden, and he approached you to do it because he thought I would say no. But
I didn't want to overburden you with basically a commitment because I've known you've burnt out before.
Yeah.
But then,
unbeknownst to us, Mr. Metal himself was also burnt out. So
right. So we've learned from our mistakes. We're not new at this anymore, thank God. But we're like Johnny Metal admittedly burned out on Accept during the Accept series, and we need to keep things fresh. So we built breaks into the series. We've recorded episodes in advance, and I guess now would be a good time to run this outtake that Harrison doesn't want to show.
Well, before you do that, there's a reason for the burnout. So you guys are pretty familiar with a lot of the Maiden material that you've been covering. Right. That way you've been able to record these shows ahead of time.
Right.
With me, admittedly, I had to listen. I was really cramming all these albums in throughout each week before we would record. So I'm like listening to all these albums just constantly on repeat. And with Accept, especially, man, that Tornillo era just started getting just
right.
Just was burning my brain out because it was just too, the production and everything was just getting to be too much. And I just like, and then I think John was feeling the same way. We were, and he's flourishing with his channel. So please, y'all, go subscribe to John the Music Nuts channel, please. But he's doing his thing and he's doing artists that he likes, which I know is something he'd been wanting to do for the longest time. So that's a good thing. But you guys really knew the material a lot better than I was doing with a lot of the Accept stuff. And even with some of the Judas Priest stuff, like the later stuff, I wasn't really familiar with those later albums. So yeah, that kind of where the burnout comes in. So just to give a little insight to that.
And I agree about some of those later Accept albums. As much as I like Accept, and I did the God, what the hell's the name of that album with the bull on the cover?
Rage, Blind
Rage. I did that album on your show, and I enjoyed that. But yeah, like even within that album, there's a lot of sameys. But I still like Accept, and I still like Mark Tornillo. I think he's a great singer, great frontman.
Yeah.
All right, so let's quickly run this clip. We just 2 weeks ago, I think it was, we recorded. Hang on 1 second. What is the name of John?
1 week ago.
Channel? What is it? Is it just called John the Music Nut?
I think the Music Nut program.
Yes,
he was kind of going back and forth with that.
The Music Nut program. Yes, that's right. And I was lucky enough to have John the Music Nut on my show once. Okay, so as you know, we've recorded in advance, and I think we're back to 50 Years of Iron Maiden next week with Somewhere in Time with Peter.
Yes.
Okay, so we have recorded, spoiler alert, we've recorded up to No Prayer, and we have Reed Little on board for No Prayer. And this is from 2 weeks ago, and I love you, Harrison Cobb. One last thing I'll say about The Assassin is maybe it's a brother song to The Fugitive from Fear of the Dark. Maybe The Assassin's after The Fugitive. Let your mind
The Fugitive is about the prisoner, so
no, it's actually about The Fugitive. It's actually about The Fugitive. But
that's related to the prisoner, is it not?
No.
Oh God. You'll have to edit that out. I'm an idiot. Yeah.
Oh, Harrison, you caused me to do an edit.
Sorry, I'm being a pedantic ass, and I'm not even being right about it. That's the worst bit.
Oh shit! You know what, Johnny Metal? Thank you. Shit. Yeah, I totally forgot. I wanted to acknowledge 2 more people. One of which is Archie Gamble. I don't do interview shows very often. I get intimidated and I get nervous, and I'll admit that. But I did some great stuff with Archie Gamble from Helix. He has become a fan favorite, and I really appreciate him. He did a difficult episode on 50 Years of Iron Maiden, and that's all I'm going to say. There's one person that will never be invited back onto this show, and it's not who you think it is. So that's all I'm going to say. Appreciate you, Archie Gamble. You've been a great support, and I would say a great friend. I would also like to call these guys friends now. I have a really happy announcement to make about Blotto. They have their movie. I'm flustered now. Sorry. Hello, my name is Blotto, the movie. They have now I think a 1 week run coming up in Albany, New York at the Spectrum Theater Complex, May 2nd through the 9th. So I'm very happy to announce that on behalf of Blotto. I can't appreciate these guys enough either. They have been kind to me beyond we did a great interview together, and check that episode out if you haven't, but they have been kind beyond that. They have been supportive. They have emailed me like on a weekly basis, and I just can't say enough. And if you had told Mike, 1984 Mike, watching his television in his basement and seeing the video from Metalhead on Much Music, if you had told me that these guys would become, basically the futuristic version of pen pals, there's 2 people dragging a canoe down the road, and I'm just getting this horrible noise. That's what happens when you do an outdoor show. If you told 1984 Mike that I would be pen pals, that would be the best way to put it, with these guys on my TV, I wouldn't have imagined that that could possibly have happened. So Blotto, like, thank you guys. They did that interview. They didn't have to do that interview with me. You know, I'm sure that their channel would get more views than mine, but you know, they're so generous with their time and with their merch. This is a sealed Blotto. This bow tie told me this is 1983 cellophane, factory sealed. They've been so generous to me, so thank you. And I did forget to do the unboxing. Let's do that to end the show. We used to do it to start the show. Let's do it to end the show. This comes from the recommendation of Mr. Tim Derling. Check out Tim's Vinyl Confessions for an episode on this album. He convinced me to buy it. I wasn't that enthused. Oh my God. Oh my God. Broadway. Wow.
Thank you, Broadway.
How about that for timing? How about that for timing? Wow. Broadway. Made my heart skip a beat there, buddy. Thank you so much. Wow. Tonight's been a great night. Let's open up this last stack of rock, shall we? This is the way we used to do most of our shows, just like unboxing stuff. So let's do this. Funny thing is that Rob Daniels, one of my co-hosts, he hates unboxing videos. He used to do this really funny voice like, look, it's a box. It's a box. I had an Amazon delivery at the cottage. How fun is that? Thin Lizzy's acoustic sessions. So this is essentially, I guess you'd call it a remix album. But my understanding is that Eric Bell. Eric Bell did like acoustic re-recordings of the music using Phil's vocals, and Tim says like it's beautiful reimagining. I love Thin Lizzy. The first lineup of Thin Lizzy, the Power Trio lineup, as I call it, is not necessarily my favorite lineup of Thin Lizzy, but you know, I'm a completist, and there's still a few Lizzy things I need. I need the reissue of Vagabonds to complete my collection. But yeah, and just as a little fun tidbit, we used to have no CD player up here at the cottage. Well, I brought a CD player with me this weekend, so maybe I'll make a video of me on the porch rocking some Thin Lizzy tonight. So thank you, Tim Derling, for that. Harrison, John, can you think of anybody that we haven't really acknowledged yet? I am going to read. Hey, Jason Cowie. I think this is the first time you've ever watched my show. Buddy, we used to go to toy conventions, man. Oh, we had such a good time. Transformers, buddy. I'm going to read a list before we peace out for the night of everybody who's ever been on the show. But is there anybody you think deserves a special shout out before we go?
I have a special shout out. It doesn't necessarily have to do with the channel, but it does have to do with a guest who's been on your channel.
Yeah.
And so I'm always wanting to just kind of hawk this this little 10-minute animation video that I got to contribute a short little piece of music to. Go to Tia Duran Animation. Stop Animation. Tia Duran Animation. That's Davey Creighton's girlfriend. Please go check it out. There's this video called Cake Shop, a ghost story, and I got to contribute just a little slight piece of music to it that shows up a few times throughout the first 5-6 minutes of the video. So yeah, just if you type in her name or something like that, or go to my Facebook page, I've got a pinned link to the video. You know, you certainly are welcome to check it out. Any chance to get as many views for that video, and just supporting an amazing talent there. So I just wanted to give that shout out there. So
agreed, seconded. And Harrison and I are working on getting Davey and Tia on the show to talk about it. I'm looking forward to that because Harrison's done his own animations in the past, but they do great work. And I love Davey's voiceovers. They're fantastic. And shout out to Jason Cowie. We used to go to TFCon every summer in Toronto. We've made some cool videos and stuff like that about TFCon, and he's got my heart. Before we go out,
Well, there is one person that I'd like to talk about. This man, well, I think he's a man because he's really more of a cryptid. He hasn't been on the show per se, but he always would contribute lists wherever he could, and that is Mr. Holden McGroin.
Yeah. He is a cryptid. We know he's a man because he's done a phone. He did a phone in once, way back on the Little Brain Train. He did a phone in. So thank you, Holden, for everything that you brought to the show as well over the years. This is a list of all, I think, 46 people that have been on Grab a Stack of Rock, and a thank you to each one of these people. Starting with my co-host, Harrison Kopp, Eric, Uncle Meat Litwiller, Aaron from the Keeps Me Alive, Tim, TVC Derling, Rob, Visions and Sound Daniels, the inspiration for going live in the first place, John T. Snow from the Collection, Grant Arthur from the Rock Warehouse, Brian Richards, a Facebook friend who's been a reader for years, Married in Heels, a person that I am glad to call my friend, Marco Doria, a huge supporter of the show from day one, Kevin Sinister, who always brought an intelligence and a factual knowledge to the show, Dr. Catherine Ladano, who did 2 fantastic episodes with us, one on the Karate Kid that is an absolute must-watch for fans of that show. My wife, Jen, who's only done short appearances but has still done them, has supported me, obviously, since day one. Here I am on a Friday night not spending time with her. Grace Scheel, a talented musician and student of Dr. Catherine. Jex Russell, of course, the man we call the Jexider. Spencer Spenny Rice from Kenny versus Spenny. Yes, we had Spencer Rice from Kenny versus Spenny on the show. Probably a one-time only guest because he seems to be talking about all kinds of different stuff now. But thank you, Spenny, for spending a Friday night with me live. That was great. Nurse Cat, Arkel's super fan. Eric Woods and Jason Drury, 2 cinemaphiles, soundtrack experts, fantastic guys.
I made one of them walk off the show, remember?
You made them walk off the show. You did.
Still.
Pierre-Luc Allard, the man known as Pla, who did a Van Halen episode with us. Peter Kerr, the Australian madman himself. I love Peter Kerr. Johnny Clouser. Len LaBelle, who did a fantastic episode with me on Brighton Rock. Reed Little, who will be back with us on 50 Years of Iron Maiden real soon. John the Music Nut, who joined me for a Christmas episode once. Mike Slayan, who did the Aussie episode with Peter Kerr and Mr. Clouser. Pete Jones. Todd Evans, who did the Marillion episode with Meat and I. James Kalin, who he gifted me a Skid Row record and appeared with me for the unboxing. Angie Moon, who was kind enough to do an interview for her book, Crime of the Century. Ryan Gavalier, we did the Deep Purple ranking. Wow, that was a long episode. That was 2 hours. Chris Preston with his exceptional Def Leppard CD collection. Dan Chartrand from Off the Charts. Glenn Archie Gamble from Helix. My other favorite Australian, Bicycle Legs. I have a lot of favorite Australians. Mr. Bicycle Legs. We've done, 2 episodes of 50 Years of Iron Maiden forthcoming with Bicycle Legs.
Honey, with all the Australians you've had on the show, you've had about half the population of the country.
That's right. Mr. Davey Creighton himself, the man from New York. And then we had Melissa Nee with encyclopedic knowledge on the Peace of Mind episode. We had Sydney from Slogans on our Christmas episode. We had Ash Geisler, yet another favorite Australian. Martin Popoff, the man who kind of set me on my path many years ago without even knowing it. And then we have the 4 guys from Blotto: Bert, the film director, F. Lee, the drummer, Bowtie, the guitar player, and Broadway, the other guitar player. And very briefly, Max the Axe himself. And that is everybody who has appeared on Grab a Stack of Rock to date. And we'll have more people on, including the aforementioned Jake, not from State Farm. In fact, he may be next. We'll see what happens. Well, that's about it, guys. Let's wrap it up. Anything you guys want to say before we go and get back to Iron Maiden next week?
Well, speaking of Iron Maiden, it's fine. You can't tell, but I've actually had a little bit of a haircut. It's not as long.
Did I forget Metal Roger?
Oh gosh,
I think so.
I don't remember you saying Metal Roger now that you mention it.
Holy crap! Well, I guess that was bound to happen. Guess I got to add and Metal Roger as himself.
Last but not least,
The best for last. Yes.
We do wish Roger we do wish him the best because
Yes.
In all seriousness, he's not kidding about that heart surgery. It's coming next month, so we wish him all the best. And there is the Tia Doran information there. She's so talented, and we love Davey. He's going to be back on the channel. I did. I made, I don't know, $3. But you got a free Iron Maiden CD and some stickers out of the deal. So anyway, Roger, we love you, buddy, and I'm really
That's right,
sorry
buddy.
about that. I knew it, but I knew it. I knew I was going to forget somebody. What a way to end the show with a train wreck. We always have one. Hey, thanks, Jason. I don't know if you like Iron Maiden, but that's what we're focusing mostly on Iron Maiden in the near future. All right.
It's going to be a bit hard to tell, but my hair's a little shorter now. But you're going to see me on 2 episodes of 50 Years with the long hair again. Then we're going to go live for Made in England 88 with the shorter hair. Then we're going to be back with No Prayer for the Dying with the long hair because I got it cut after we recorded No Prayer, and then it's going to be shorter.
It's good thing you didn't record anything with me before I had my beard shaved off.
Yeah. It's a good thing that the camera cuts off here. You can't tell that it doesn't go further.
Yeah.
I think there's probably going to be varying lengths of my hair too, because it hasn't been this long since 2019. And thanks you, Jason Cowie, for watching. And yeah, we've been kicking ass. I don't mind saying on the Maiden. Tune in next week for Somewhere in Time with Peter Kerr. All right, guys. I think I'm going to play 2 songs tonight as we go out because in the T-Bone clip, he mentioned a song called Open Door Piss, which is a tribute to Uncle Meat. So we're going to do that, and we're also going to play Down on the Streets by Paul McLeod. But let's start with Open Door Piss by T-Bone Erickson. We haven't played that one in a long time. Let me find it. Shit. I got so many damn songs. There it is. All right. Any last words?
Same
Rock forever, y'all.
LeBrain time, same LeBrain channel.
See you next week on Grab a Stack of Rock. This is Open Door Piss by T-Bone Erickson. Have a great weekend, everybody, and thank you so much for watching.
Woke up this morning on the right side of the bed. Nothing but happy feelings in my head. I turned on the radio to hear just what was new. But the DJ is playing Motley Crue. I threw the damn thing down the stairs, seemed like the thing to do. Then I ripped the bloody door right off the loo. Because when your day starts just like this, an open door piss. When I hear Nikki says an open door piss. Don't care if you're not impressed, an open door piss. Did I mention I was a house guest? An open door piss. Heading out this evening to meet up with my boys. For a couple beers we'll make a little noise. Checked out the telly to find out what's the score. But the Patriots, they ain't no good no more. I threw that telly on the floor, then caught shit from the man. So I made a beeline straight for the can. Because when your evening starts like this, an open door piss. When Tom Brady leaves the Patriots, an open door piss. take a look at this and open doors. Don't care about your rules. Don't live my life to please you fools. If you don't like it, turn the other way. That's what I say. Like Desmond Child writing songs with Kiss and open doors. Like 90s ballads from Aerosmith and open doors. When the Jays can't get no hits and open doors. When your socks they smell like this and open doors. When you just don't give a shit and open doors. I think you get the gist and open
Down in the street they got something going on. Don't tell my baby I've gone for a kid, son. Baby, she's been gone, and I can't do but wrong to my baby. Down in the street they got smoke booths, boys around. Old painted ladies on bright corners with blue marks. Baby, she's been gone, and I can't do but wrong to my baby. Don't cry for me as I tear out my own heart. This misery is mine, it's all I got. So let me be. They all know what I see. Down in the street they got something for everyone.
Welcome, Nighthawks. We've been expecting you. The hour's late, but the party is just getting started. I'm Alistair Kovacs, your host for a sophisticated little soiree with jazz, stimulating conversation, beautiful ladies, more jazz. Look, it's Charlie, sincerely one of the best white non-union jazz pianists in the entire city, top 5. Charlie, play some of those notes you know I like.